Good morning, everybody. Pete Renzulli, Class B member, T3 Trading Group. It is Friday morning, November 2nd, and welcome to the morning call. Interesting open. A couple of stocks reported last night and some good earnings. We'll get into that, and we're looking for some follow-through on yesterday's very, very constructive day in the market. The only thing I did not like about yesterday's tape was for as strong as it was in the first 90 minutes of the day, and we really went over 5 different scenarios in the recap yesterday of why it was such a very good day to take advantage of. The volume was barely over 100 million shares, so it doesn't seem like there was a huge commitment to the long side yesterday, even though we did finally break out of, as we've been covering, this key 5-day trading range, which also filled the gap from this bottoming tail over here. Something I want to point out, there's 2 different levels of setting up your risk reward, and we're probably going to get into this in a little more detail and probably best illustrated when we look at JP Morgan. But as far as on the long side, if you started a tactical long yesterday and you carried it into an overnight position, getting rewarded, opening up a little bit higher here pre-market, there's 2 different levels you're going to be watching, and the first one is the obvious one. We'd be looking at the 21 EMA here on the daily chart. We closed yesterday at the 50 on the daily. 21 EMA would be the first target. We've actually came very close to touching this level pre-market here, but the longer term interesting level that I think that we might have a shot heading out to is if we draw this trend line. We've held it very cleanly over the last 2 pushes down. Now obviously you don't like the fact, if you're a promo bull or a macro bull, that we keep making lower pivot lows here, pivot highs, which is holding us down. But this would be a really constructive measured move if we can start to get up there. 143.50, essentially this area in here would be a 50% retracement from here to here. And that's usually the first target I would look for, and we're actually at or through that already pre-market. So if we can get above, setting up a trade here intraday, if we can get above and flag in the first 15 minutes to a half an hour above 143.50, you have to feel very excited about a possible move up towards this 146 resistance level. So that's how I'm going to be setting up my day intraday. A higher opening, not necessarily something I want to get into right away based on where we are from yesterday's low and trading higher here pre-market. However, set that game plan 9:45, 10 o'clock. If we're flagging above 143.50 area, that's very, very constructive, and you have every reason in the world to be looking for push higher through those levels. But let's actually take a look at JP Morgan here and set up what I might term your risk-reward parameters on being long or short. In this case, obviously being long. 2 days ago, looking at a long where you had a pivot low here and you closed above the previous close and actually right at or above the previous high in what is a strong stock. You can clearly see the 8 is above the 21 here right up until that point, even though we closed below the 21 here. Comfortably above the 50, 8 still above the 21, so still every reason in the world to want it to be long. Here's the point that I want to make though. Yesterday's price action, good solid day to trade based on the scenario I just gave you with the moving averages. However, we do have this resistance coming up here at 43.54, and yesterday's close about 70 cents below that. A higher opening here this morning into resistance is not a good long unless you're already long from overnight. The reward potential for the risk you would have to take would be probably around 1-to-1, if not even lower than that, because of the resistance level. So the trade in JP Morgan today, if we get a solid open higher and we push higher, I would not recommend getting long into the resistance level because the reward potential is not there until we clear this level. So looking at the longer chart, you can see that we have some resistance here at 43.54, and then a little bit more just above 44.24. So roughly every 50 to 70 cents, we have some decent resistance before we finally start to clear some levels and maybe make a run at 46. So let's compare that to Goldman Sachs and setting up some trades. If we start out with the weekly chart, actually let's go to the daily. And you can see very clean, constructive action the last 2 days, but essentially the same type of scenario. A higher opening on an ATR of around 268 is going to take us right into this resistance. So it's imperative that you go out to the longer time frame charts, and we're still looking there. And if we get out past this level, it's really this 128.72 that we're not really that far away from. If not today, possibly on Monday, clearing this level. We have 140 as the next level. So the financials, especially Goldman Sachs, leading us, and you can see here on the monthly charts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months in a row of closes above the open and well bid for 5 months. Got to clear, in my opinion, this 128.72 level, and then ultimately look for a real nice push up to the 140 level. So essentially what I'm saying here is the quote that I'm constantly using in mentoring: yes, the stock might be a good long, but is it a good long now? As you start to move higher and start to saturate buying pressure as well as coming into resistance levels, the reward potential decreases until you clear those levels. So we have probably one more good day up until this resistance level before basing is what we'd like to see around this 126, 127 level. If we push up base and hover around that 126, maybe even a little higher than that 127, 127.50 level, good chance we're going to make an end of year run into that 140 level. At least that's the target and price action that I'm going to be looking for into that area. One excellent stock to be keeping an eye on today is WYNN. Again, if we go out to the weekly charts here in WYNN, we'll be able to see that we just recently cleared some pretty good levels here. This 119, 120 level was a very, very big level that we had to get through. You can see here we got through it nicely so far this week. Now the next level here is 127.59 and ultimately 138.32. Now, interesting story here. WYNN cleared the level pretty well. LVS, and you can see this most clearly on the daily chart. And this is something I was walking somebody through yesterday in the virtual trading floor. Since September, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times now the stock has not been able to close above 47. Got to 47, touched 47, could not clear through 47. If you like this area, if you like this industry sector, whatever you want to call it, 47 is a big problem for this stock. As of right now, 47 is the right price that this stock is not getting over, and you can see most of the moving averages are sideways right now. If declining, rising just a little bit, there's no edge here in LVS until you get a nice clean flag, pause, maybe even a wedge above $47. So if I had a choice between WYNN and LVS, I would be looking towards the WYNN trade. It's got more room to go, and it's clearing those levels. Something else that's interesting this morning: Starbucks. Pretty good close yesterday, all things considered, with how solid this downtrend was after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row of dojis. But what I want to do here is I want to go down to the 24-hour chart and just take a look and see where it's trading right now. Obviously, earnings came out and trading significantly higher and still going higher. Now, the question is, as a short-term to intermediate-term trader, if you're looking at a stock right now that has a normal range of $1, you can see here about $1.10, and right now it's already trading up 426 up into the 50.88 level, right around 51. We're basically all the way up here. Now, one thing to keep in mind, you must determine, are you a news trader / catalyst trader, or are you a technical trader? If you are a technical trader, picture one big green candle up into resistance, because that's exactly what you have right now. 51.30, 51.50 area, 52. You have some significant levels of resistance up in here. Now, does that mean it's a sell short because you're at resistance? No. Obviously, good earnings came out and they crushed it. This is probably more of a do nothing. So for those of you that are looking at it and just doing your scans based on how much your stock is up or down pre-market, temper your expectations a little bit on a long here. It's already gone 4 times what it normally does, and it's coming up into resistance. It gets above this level, maybe we consolidate and hang around 51, 51.50, 52 especially, then 54. Basically have $2 increments, but today is not the best long, already priced into what it's done. Google getting a little bit of buying this morning. However, taking a look at the daily chart, you can see the stock is very, very broken. Obviously, on the leaked announcement of the earnings, followed up by the actual number, we're basically basing right now between 670, 692. Now, we're trading a little bit above this level, around 693. 692.50 as I'm speaking this right now. So it's up a little bit. But here's the thing: if you want to be long, you want to be long stocks that are already showing relative strength if and when the market catches a bid. And right now, Google is not that stock. So we just covered JP Morgan, we covered Goldman Sachs. You want to be long the stocks that were already strong when the tape gets strong, and you could actually even add WYNN into that equation. All right, so a couple of areas that are very mixed right now. Again, ExxonMobil, pulling that up, earnings as well. One thing I really like to do with traders when I'm talking about sometimes in this age of computerization and everything, like, it's so easy to look at the moving averages and say it's above or below. But here's what I want you to take a look at in some of the stocks you're watching right now. If you strip the moving averages out of the stock is in an 8-week trading range, and right now it's in the middle of the 8 weeks. You're going to find the same scenario on quite a few stocks right now. So from a relative strength perspective, the financials have been strong, and we called out yesterday a few stronger retailers, for lack of a better way of putting it. Now again, Macy's here, you can clearly see this 40, 52, 41 levels resistance. We are trading a little bit higher this morning, and we had a couple of other solid ones that showed some good strength yesterday. TJ Maxx actually showed strength, but it closed near the lows. Kohl's has cleared the level. So we have financials, Kohl's, Macy's, and WYNN as what would be on the top of my list right now, stocks to be looking at the open. And again, the 143.50 level in the spiders is the level I want to see us pause out, because that's a 50% retracement from the most recent level. We get up to that level, which is where we're trading right now, and pause. You got to like the next move higher if we pause above that level. So those are the levels. Have a great day, everybody. Hope everybody's safe.